We're going to have a debate today, right? We have so many stacks, right? And when projects approach us, the first question they ask is, which stack do I choose? So let's hear it from the stacks themselves, right? So whose stack is it anyway? So it's going to be a battleground between the various stacks just now here at Zeeve Rollup Day. So let me invite on stage Osman Sarman, who's the senior manager at Polygon. Let's give him a big round of applause. Yeah? Osman reminds me of a Bollywood superstar, from India. So yeah, please welcome Osman. And we've also promised to give him a hard time today. I'll also want to call on board Hunter. Yeah, Hunter. Hunter is is the community strategist at Arbitrum. Right, Matt. Matt from, yeah. Are you here? Oh, yeah, there is Matt. So, Matt, so Avalanche team says, why do you folks keep talking about roll-ups when you can actually set up a sovereign L1, right? So, he's going to bring in a different, viewpoint into this conversation. And can we have Shahar? Oh, Shahar is there. So, Shahar, you got to wear a BD cap, okay? We specifically said, let's have a debate between BD folks. Unfortunately, Omar Azhar of ZK Singh had to fly back to New York. So we have one of the technical gurus of ZK Sync here, but please don't give the BD guys a hard time, okay, Shahar? Okay, and to moderate that, we have Ravi, who's our CEO and co-founder. So Ravi, all yours. The stage is all yours.
Yeah, hi everyone. I think this is one of the most exciting panel for today. We have some very exciting panelists on this panel, and we are going to talk about, again, app chains and rollups. That is what the central theme of today's day. And so I think we can start with a quick introduction about yourself, what you are doing, your journey in Web3. I think we can start.
All right, we're good. We got it. All right. I also do a little bit of IT, apparently. Yeah, my name is Hunter. As they just said, I work at Off-Chain Labs. I've been here for about 3 or so years, helping scale Ethereum with Arbitrum, doing community management the first 2 years, community strategy this last year. And yeah, pretty much just anything that I can do, whether it be partnerships, BD, and even a little bit of research on the engineering side. So, I know a little bit about the chain. Definitely whatever I can do essentially to help onboard partners and teams onto Arbitrum, whether it be under Arbitrum 1 or even their own sovereign chain.
Nice to meet you. Hey guys, this is Osman, or Oz. I've been at Polygon for around 3 years now, and I'm a part of the broader BD team, but we have this unique team at Polygon that we call enablement. We work with every 3 to 6 months, we select top developers, and we work with them from technical enablement to marketing enablement. And Zeeve was one of them for a while, so we developed a very strong relationship there as well. But yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Matt. I've been a part of the Avalabs ecosystem growth team the past 3 years or so. Originally joined to be primarily focused on DeFi and institutional and capital markets, such as RWA, tokenization, etc. But since then, I've become more of a generalist, and so lead almost all of our external data partnerships, as well as help out with the variety of infra, tooling, and security projects as well. It's nice to be here today.
Hello, Shahar from Meta Labs. Great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm the head of partner engineering at Meta Labs. We are the humble creators of ZK Sync, where we try to scales Ethereum's computation and value without compromising on DevX or anything else that the user may care about. And it's great to be here. I will absolutely wear my BD hat for the day. Partner engineering, we care a lot about partners, so 100%.
Right. No, I think very exciting. So we have folks from ZK side, we have from Optimistic Rollup side, and we have Avalanche, which has its own ecosystem. So I think the first thing is, how do you see, we have now these very different stacks. So first, ZK is the hottest buzzword that we have been talking about in the last 1 year or so. The technology is still in the process of maturing. So what do you see, like, ZK being the clear winner here, or it will coexist with other stacks, using some of the components, like, we were hearing from Ed today that, certain pieces of the optimistic rollup can still utilize ZK technology, not necessarily just on the prover side. So how do you see your views? I think we can start with Hunter. How do you see it pans out?
Yeah, so I think the way that we approach it at Off-Chain Labs is, at least a development from that perspective, is to create the best technology for the developers today. And I think optimistic rollup technology has kind of been one of the best technologies for scaling for the past couple of years. The three biggest rollups are optimistic rollups, frankly. But I do think that, actually with our recent announcement, we called it Your Chain, Your Rules, we released a couple of different updates and milestones that we'll be adding to the Arbitrum roadmap, including hybrid proofs. So ZK is definitely a very important part of Ethereum scaling, so I think we can all agree with that. And the way we're approaching it is, rather, let's say turning everything from optimistic into ZK, we think that there's actually a world where both of them have their own advantages, and you could use both of them whenever they're needed. So in the future, you'll have, Arbitrum rollups will essentially be ideally proving, either optimistically or, with validity proofs. And generally speaking, I think that's the way we approach decentralization, it's the way we approach, innovating at like the chain level, and just want to make sure we're creating the best thing for the devs at any given time.
Pretty great answer. I think I'm going to second majority of the things that you said there. I think it's very hard to call a winner. We're still pretty early stages of a cutting-edge industry. A lot of developments are happening. I think the clear winner is going to not be decided by the infrastructure, Polygon, Arbitrum, these companies, but it's more like, okay, does the does the user have a good experience using this technology when making a payment? Do they really care about what they're using? Are they having, are they coming back to this technology? So I think stepping back, this industry is evolving. When Polygon, we're all, trying to scale this industry overall, Ethereum, and I think overall this industry, blockchain industry. When Polygon first started, it started as a sidechain. And at that point, that was a great strategy. DeFi summer, very high gas prices. The fact that there's gas was also, to start with, was challenging, and then you had very expensive gas. So Polygon, started with the sidechain strategy, and then obviously very customer focused. ZK technology started becoming more popular. The promise there was we can execute everything on Ethereum. We don't have to have a separate validator set, which is kind of like a blue check mark on having a solid tech, because you're securing it by Ethereum. So we took the ZK path, and for the last year or so, it's pretty clear that that's not what users are looking for. Optimistic rollups are definitely have much more adoption, and we do have a lot of things coming up in the roadmap. I think it's about, again, being user obsessed. So we are pretty, still pushing on the ZK front, but it's not necessarily the only thing that Polygon will be doing, which we can get into in the upcoming. So I know it's a bit of a vague answer, but that's where I'm standing.
You would like to, before I jump on to Matt?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's great you guys are presenting some programmatic choices that you made at the beginning of the road, right? When the Ethereum rollup-centric roadmap was just presented, it was presented because it was a real problem, right? Because the Ethereum chain was unusable for so many different use cases. We at Meta Labs, we did not make the pragmatic choice at the time, but we just took it first principles. What are we trying to do here? And we're building for this. Because we are building with the assumption that we're all here for a reason, right? This blockchain is giving us things that different technologies are not giving us, right? And if we're not building in a way that truly utilizes the values, the security that is guaranteed by using a properly secure, properly decentralized blockchain, then, well, frankly, this industry might not even be here in a few years, right? And so our first principles were, what are we even trying to do here, right? And what we're trying to do here with the Ethereum rollup-centric roadmap is we're saying, okay, we're trying to scale the computation of Ethereum in a boundless way, right? We want to bring all the computation on-chain. Ethereum wants to be the world computer, and we have to find a way to make it happen, right? And at the same time, exactly, we have the rollup-centric roadmap. We have thousands of rollups, and they all need to interoperate with each other, right? So we went for ZK. And why is ZK the only way to actually materialize these goals for the blockchain industry at large, epitomized by Ethereum? Very short answer. It's two things. ZK is essentially just a proof of some computation, right? You are just doing some computation here, and you're proving it, and it's very easy to verify that the computation was correct, right? So essentially what you're doing is you're proving some computation, and then what both Polygon and Metal Labs are seeing right now is that you can prove computations recursively. So you can prove this computation, and then you can prove the computation that proved the computation, and all of a sudden, with one single proof, you can prove all the computation for the world computer and submit this proof to Ethereum, right? So you truly have limitless scalability when you're going with ZK. And at the same time, ZK is the only technology that is pragmatic right now that is allowing true interoperability between different rollups. If you have a rollup cluster of optimistic rollups, and one of them, for instance, is an Optimium, well, it degrades the security assumption for all the other rollups on this cluster to also be an Optimium. With the ZK technology, we can have different rollups have, in the same cluster, have different security assumptions, have seamless trusted by Ethereum interoperability without hurting the UX or the security assumption that we're inheriting from Ethereum.
It's almost like ZK is optimizing for kind of perfection and more infrastructure, while all optimistic rollups are optimizing for user experience, I guess.
You could say that a few years ago. I don't think you can say that now, because we're here, we're on mainnet, we have many ZK chains that are on mainnet, and we have real users using it all the time.
Agreed.
Right. No, I think very interesting views, and I think as Hunter mentioned, ZK is a clear winner. In fact, optimistic rollup, we have seen Succent, we have seen SP1 coming into OP, and so I think the direction is all, things have already started moving in that direction. So Matt, I'll just modify the question a bit for you. We have been working with Ava Labs for almost 2 years, launching quite a few app chains. Many of them are in production. Now, Ava Labs has rebranded the whole stack as far as launching your own subnets, calling it permissionless L1s. And I think the overall, and from the architecture standpoint, it's very clear that Avalanche is more of a layer 0, where on top of which you can launch your own permissionless or permissioned L1s. Now, rollups, when started, the whole idea was as to enhance scalability in the Ethereum ecosystem. But but at the same time, it is given, it is very similar to app chains, because it gives you all the independence. So how do you see Avalanche L1s competing in the rollup space? Because end of the day, we are seeing a same customer, and they are looking at rollups, they are looking at different app chain stacks as well.
Yeah, so in my opinion, the biggest reason people launch rollups at this day and age is still just alignment for the Ethereum ecosystem. You're leaking value settling somewhere else at the end of the day, and if you control the whole sovereign stack, you're not really leaking that value. From a simplicity standpoint, I'd say launching a rollup might be slightly more simple in terms of platform engineering, especially if it's a centralized sequencer, you don't have permissionless fraud proofs, et cetera. But that's, I think, the primary main difference. And we are still using ZK technology in terms of privacy, proof of verification, et cetera. But we truly believe in horizontal scaling via sovereign L1s, like you mentioned. And so I think with that approach, Avalanche L1s have really started to proliferate. We have a native interoperability solution called Avalanche Interchain Messaging that essentially uses BLS signatures along with our platform chain to pass those messages, as well as like a tamper-proof relayer network. But yeah, it's kind of my opinion.
Got it. No, I think that's pretty much on the same line. So it's very exciting to see, developers have got a massive choice today. Yeah, when launching a permissionless LMS, it's a different stack, different ecosystem, but at the same time, and you need to bring in the POS validators, but it has its own very distinct set of advantages. Now, speaking of the ecosystem, as you mentioned, what we are seeing, and one of the critique that has been there for last few months, I saw that in Token 2049, that different rollup stacks are leading to fragmentation in the Ethereum ecosystem, right? So Optimism carving out their own ecosystem. There's Superchain, there is Arbitrum Orbit clusters, there's Ag layer coming into picture, and then we have Elastic Chain, and then similarly Avalanche ecosystem. So how do you see this pan out in practice? Because we don't want fragmentation to happen. End of the day, it's Ethereum ecosystem, it's Avalanche ecosystem, and it becomes very important that there's a massive, massive interoperability that exists there. Yeah, Hunter.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good question. I think interop is, it's funny, I think back like maybe 2020, 2021, I remember attending some talks like in New York City, where I'm from, people saying like fragmented liquidity is it's like this existential crisis that we're all gonna face soon. And this is like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And I think it's something that, even though there are some chains already that have like very, very deep liquidity, of course, like Arbitrum, like Ethereum. It is still important that we're connecting liquidity one way or another. I think generally speaking, you can kind of look at interop at a couple of different levels. You have kind of like stack-specific interop. So for Arbitrum, there's fast withdrawals, kind of taking that 7-day withdrawal period back down to 15 minutes. That was released a couple of weeks ago. You have chain clusters, so kind of being able to interact with Arbitrum-based chains, Arbitrum Orbit chains, at a much quicker speed than you could if you were just any other arbitrary chain. And then you also have kind of ecosystem-specific interop. So like Ethereum, for example, I think there was like an ERC, there's an ERC, I think that was released the other day, like a lot of different rollups, and I think ecosystems are showing alignment with. I think Polygon did it, Scroll did it, Arbitrum, of course, did it. And then I think even beyond that, you'll have like Layer 0 and other kind of solutions like that connecting to other alt-al ones. So I think, interop is going to be something that there won't be like one solution that solves all of it. There's going to be, just like there's like tons of tokens, there's going to be tons of different chains, tons of different layers. But I do think that kind of the combination of like these general interop kind of solutions tied into the stacks specific solutions, again, like us focusing more on Orbit, that'll kind of bring what I think kind of that cross-chain future that everyone's kind of looking for. And I think for what it's worth, not everyone needs to be in like this kind of interop kind of connected, you can say system. There are some people that just want to build a really, really good like chain product stack, but then they don't really need to be connected to anyone else. I think the idea here is to give people the option to do that. And frankly, I think if you're a developer and you're looking for a stack to deploy on, the more options, the more choices you have to build your app, the better.
So you're saying interoperability between interop solutions? It's like Inception. Interop Inception. I do agree with your point that not everyone has to be connected to an interoperability solution. At the end of the day, like you're building something and you need, hopefully, using a blockchain makes a good business case for it, and you use it. Ag layer is just, if someone's gonna leave with a takeaway from my side of this panel, Ag layer is not Polygon. Ag layer, hopefully in a year's time, we can ask all the panelists about Ag layer and they have something to say. We have, I think, like 50 core contributors, both infrastructure providers. Zeeve, you guys are attaching chains to the Ag layer. It's a bigger undertake. Nothing to, like, it's not Polygon branded, as you can see, and so on. But I think to Shahar points, I think this is where ZK comes into play. And like Ag layer is not an ecosystem, it's more like a solution interoperability solution that that takes ZK technology at its core. And one other important thing is it's not only Ethereum rollups, it's other ecosystems. We have efforts underway to connect movement. We spoke about we spoke about Cosmos with you guys. We're also working with another infrastructure provider to connect Solana. So it's a little bit bigger than, broader than Ethereum interoperability. So yeah, that's, I think, two things that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because as time has went on, I feel like everyone's kind of converging on the same technology, where there might be 10 to 15 permissionless, basically like liquidity layers, and then an ecosystem of maybe hundreds of application-specific blockchains connected by interop technology of some sorts. And most of that is going to continue to get abstracted away from users. And then essentially with intents, solvers, et cetera, it's just going to route wherever you need whatever asset, whatever you're trying to do, et cetera, through. And so I think it's kind of funny because we're going full circle where I guess in last cycle it was a lot of monolithic permissionless environments. And now we still have those, but it's monolithic permissionless environments connected to application-specific blockchains, application-specific rollups, et cetera. And so it's definitely interesting. I mean, I think Cosmos as well as Polkadot had a lot of things right last cycle, but a lot of politics, drama behind the scenes, et cetera, made those two ecosystems a little bit challenging in terms of BD opportunities as well as just the ecosystem more holistically and generally succeeding. So,
Yeah, I think I agree largely with all the points given here. I want to quickly say that I think the first thing we need to do is to acknowledge there's a problem, right? When the Solana folks come and attack us for the fragmentation in Ethereum, we shouldn't say it's not a problem. We should just acknowledge it's a problem. I actually think we should just lean into it, right? We have different ecosystem within the Ethereum ecosystem. Each of us have their own interop solution, and I think that's great, right? I think in the next couple of years, what we're going to see is the different solution coming into the market, and we're going to see what solution is going to gain more adoption. At the same time, what I think we should do is I think we should have some social consensus on Ethereum at large, on the standards that we're using, such that whenever it is that we're choosing the interop solution that we feel like as an ecosystem, as a space, that is the best way to move forward, it's not going to leave other ecosystem behind. And so, yeah, at the same time, let the different ecosystems innovate and see who's going to win, but also collaborate on having the same standards so that nobody's going to left behind.
No, absolutely. I think that was very lovely insights from all of you. And I think the way we have seen it is, one thing it is established that we are going to have a multi-chain future. Now within multi-chain, we have seen modular ecosystem coming in. Within modularity, we have seen multiple startups, players, builders who have been building incredible technologies. So we are going to have multiple stacks, multiple ecosystems, and then interoperability layers which are going to bring them closer. So the way I see it is there would be a lot of competition, but competition definitely breeds innovation. But at the same time, there would be collaboration in terms of initiatives like AgLayer or Elastic Chain and various other interoperability layers. I think these are very exciting times, innovative times. At times, very, very confusing for the builders, but that is where we come in. We work very closely with all the major players and make it easy for the builders to decide, choose, and implement. So with that, we come to the end of our session. Thanks a lot for joining. It was very exciting session, and thanks once again from Zeeve, the Rollup Day.